Before we get started here, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell icon down below for more videos. Also, make sure to check out the link to my DCS World Players survey pinned in the comments section as well. Hey guys, Spud here. Today we have a one-on-one training session in the DCS World AH-64D Apache attack helicopter with one of my students. This student had dabbled in DCS World helicopters and had played around with the Apache and the HIP using George and flying by himself around in the MI-8. But he really wanted to dig in and learn the cold start procedures and receive help on how to become more proficient flying the AH-64 and employ her potent array of weapons. Flying any modern aircraft in DCS like the AV-8B, FA-18C, or F-16C can definitely prepare you for interacting with the avionics of the Apache, but nothing can really prepare you for how to actually fly the aircraft itself. In this lesson, we spent far more time going over the techniques and best practices for how to fly the Apache safely and effectively. Everything from how the student should place his feet on his rudder pedals in his home cockpit, to control curves, to how to actually manipulate the cyclic with your hands. We of course also go into some pew-pew engaging targets with Hellfires, rockets, and guns, but you'll notice we did not go into any real discussions on attack helicopter tactics and whatnot. This is because most attack helo tactics require the pilot to be able to maneuver the helicopter at very low speeds and hover behind things like tree lines, buildings, hills, mountains, etc. I'll freely admit that I'm not the best CPG in the world, but I was definitely able to coach and evaluate my student from the front seat because I know the pilot seat of the Apache in and out, which I think you will agree when you take a look at our last Apache-based Sunday mission linked in the comment section down below. Keep in mind, guys, that I do one-on-one training with anyone who donates $15 or more to support my channel on Patreon. I specialize in helping out folks in most of the modern jets like the F-14, FA-18, F-16, AV-8B, JF-17, and Mirage F-1, and I also love teaching people how to fly the P-51D. I'm now also doing lessons in the AH-64D Apache attack helicopter, which is something that I was really excited to hop into. So thanks for watching, guys, and have a great 2023. Okay, let's go over that real quick. When it comes to switching off who's flying, basically we want to use positive exchange of flight controls so that way we know who's flying at any one time. So if I want to take the controls, I'll say my flight controls, and you'll say back to me your flight controls. If I'm going to give it back to you, I'll say your flight controls, and you'll say my flight controls. So that way we know who's flying, and that way we don't accidentally cross each other up and get us to crash, which wouldn't be great. In DCS here, if you press the C key on your keyboard, I'll swap back and forth who has control of the helicopter, but we'll also say it verbally as well, so that way we don't get confused about it. To taxi, it's pretty simple. All you got to do is just take the parking brake off. The parking brake is... Okay, you got it off. Beautiful. If you just give just a tiny bit of up on the collective, just a tiny bit, not enough for us to actually start flying, and then very gently push forward on the stick, and then to stop, rather than using the wheel brakes, just pull gently back on the stick to stop the helicopter. See that? Pretty cool, right? Yeah. So instead of using the brakes, we actually just use forward and back on the stick. And so let's try taxiing out to the runway here, and we'll take off going down the runway. So looking at the F10 map here, we'll just taxi out onto the runway and make a 90-degree right-hand turn onto the runway.
And turnings with the rudder?
Yep, turns with the rudder. And if you feel like you're going too fast, just pull back on the stick a little bit. If you need a little bit more speed, just push forward on the stick a little bit. Pretty touchy, right?
Nice and quick.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah, pretty cool, right? So let's try and do a stationary takeoff. So pull back on that stick and get us to stop. We've got very, very little crosswind today, so that way we don't have an issue with our training. So basically now, just very, very slowly, everything nice and slow, nice and gentle, flying a helicopter, just start to pull up on the collective. And if you feel the helicopter start to yaw to one side or the other, just gently pop in that rudder to cancel out that yaw. Don't worry about the caution. We'll just turn the APU off in just a second. Nice and gentle. Very nice. And then, do you know what the trimmers do?
Yeah, yep.
Okay, go trimmer hat forward. Nice. We got a light post in front of us here.
Okay.
All right. So let's go ahead and start to bring her towards our route. And we're just going to fly northbound along the coast here. And if you want, I can take the controls and that way you can get the APU off.
Your control.
My controls. So to turn the APU off, just very gently, or not very gently, it doesn't matter. Just press the button, the APU button, and that should shut it down. Looks like she's shut down now. All right, you want the controls back?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I'll get it nice and trimmed out for you. And your controls.
My controls.
The cool thing is I can actually see where your controls are, which is really helpful for me in the front seat.
How do you do that?
Hit right control and enter.
Okay, yep.
Yep. I believe from what you're seeing, I think whoever has the controls, where their controls are, is the little green plus sign.
Just inside that little box.
Yep, exactly. All right. So now we're in business. Okay, so in your iHads, do you see the little, like, looks like a baseball home plate symbol with a dot inside of it out in front of us?
Yep, straight ahead.
Nice. That's our waypoint. And once we hit it, I'll set us up to fly to the next waypoint.
Feels like there's a lot of side slip in the helicopter.
Yep. So try to cancel that out with your rudders, and then hit the trimmer button. And then you can neutralize your controls again.
Okay, I can see the ball in the center as well.
Yep, so that's definitely better. So when we are slow, basically more or less the up and down, so gaining altitude or losing altitude, we use our collective for that. When we're fast, like see we're almost 120 knots right now, we want to just fly more like an airplane. So if you want to gain altitude, pull back on the stick. If you want to lose altitude, push forward on the stick.
Nice and smooth once you get moving.
Yeah. We're kind of overpowering the engine right now. So see the percentage in the top left of your iHads sight?
Oh, yep.
So we want to make sure that we don't go over 100% engine RPM. So try to not overstress the engine, because eventually we'll burn the engines out and we'll break the rotors.
So hover around 80-90%.
Yeah, somewhere around there. You can go all the way up to 100%, but we just don't want to get to a point where we go over 100% and we have the box around that percentage over there. On the IHADs as well, we have on the right side we have a VSI. So see the little triangle is just below where it says 460. Yeah, so now we're climbing, and before we were just slightly descending.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Coming up to waypoint 1.
Alrighty, I will send us to waypoint 2. Now, just like in the F-16, we also have a velocity vector. So do you see that guy out in front of us?
I do, yes. Just outside on the water.
Yeah, perfect. So that works basically just like it does in a fighter jet. It's just showing you where you're going. So right now you have it perfectly on the horizon, and you can see, matched by the VSI, we're flying nice and straight and level.
Perfect. I've lost the waypoint home plate.
Yeah, let's see. I have lost it too. It should be out in front of us here. I'm messing with it right now to see if I can fix it. There we go. You should have it now.
Oh, beautiful. I see it.
Cool. So just for the heck of it, let's try some turns. So let's do some S turns.
Okay, I'll take us out over the water.
Yeah. So see how we're going pretty fast right now? So you more or less just fly it like an airplane.
It really does. It doesn't in the beginning, but once you start to, get some speed in your flight, it's just like an airplane.
Yeah. So when you land the Tomcat or you land the Hornet or the F-16, once you get the aircraft all dirtied up, you get the flaps down, the landing gears down, the speed brakes are out. Do you feel how in those airplanes how when you push the throttle up, the nose will rise and you gain altitude, but when you pull the throttle back, the nose will fall and you lose altitude?
Yep.
The helicopter flies like that all the time. You're basically in the region of reverse command the entire time you're flying the Apache. So if you kind of think about flying the same way you do when you're coming in for a landing in your Tomcat or your Viper, it's basically the same thing.
Really good way to explain it, actually.
Yeah. So see how we're climbing in these turns? So try lowering the collective just slightly. Real gentle, real smooth. Try to go a little slower and a little smoother when moving that collective. And you can see that as you move the collective, you have to also move your rudder pedals at the same time to compensate with the tail rotor for the changing amount of torque on the main rotor.
So more collective, sort of more rudder, especially at low speed, it feels like.
Yeah, exactly. And so the smoother and more gently we can move the collective, the easier it's going to be to compensate with the rudder pedals, right?
Yeah, definitely. I'm just using the collective in these turns to manage altitude, basically.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. So we're flying the jet, or not the jet, the helicopter, just like we would land a jet, right? So we're turning with our stick, but we're managing our altitude with our throttle, which in a helicopter is called the collective. So it's kind of like you're doing base to final turns in your Viper the entire time.
It is.
Good way to explain it, right?
It's spot on.
So we're pretty high up here. I feel like someone's going to shoot us down to the man pads or something. So bring us down lower. We should be hiding behind trees and shit.
Bit vulnerable up here.
Yep. I'm going to get altitude sickness up here.
Alright, so collective lowered. Oh, here we go. Straight down.
Yeah. So we're descending really, really rapidly there. We want to be careful with how rapidly we descend, because we can get into what's called either vortex ring state, or we could start settling with power. Vortex ring state is where the downdraft from the rotors of our helicopter, you know how they kind of come out in kind of a swirl? They'll come out in a swirl and rise back up and then hit the top of our helicopter again and push us into the ground.
Oof. So it does the reverse of what it's supposed to do.
Yep, exactly. So we don't want to descend too quickly, so that way we don't develop such a massive vortice and push ourselves into the ground again. It could also potentially, if we descend too quickly, it could potentially lead us to what's called settling with power, where the engines of our helicopter are not strong enough to arrest the descent rate before we just smack right into the ground. So when we descend, we just want to be nice and slow, nice and gentle with everything.
It's there's a bit of an art form to following that slip ball at the bottom of the HUD there.
Yeah, so you don't want to worry about that too much. If you get it close to the center, just hit the trimmer switch, and then now your rudder pedals will be pretty good.
Let go of the controls now. It's
yeah,
hands off.
Even when you're going really, really slow, the Apache is stable enough that you can just let go of the controls, especially if you have it nice and trimmed out. So now, see how the wind is pushing us to the right of our waypoint? See the velocity vectors on the hill to the right of the waypoint?
Oh, yes, yep.
So try this. Try just rolling the helicopter to the left, just slightly. See that velocity vector is now coming back towards... So just roll the helicopter a little bit more. Roll it more, roll it more. Good job being nice and slow and gentle. Now hit the trimmer switch. And now you can relax the controls again. And now we're flying towards our waypoint.
Right on. Then again, just manage the climb with the collective.
Exactly. So to fly a little bit more tactically here, see we've got this hill. It wouldn't be all that great of an idea for us to cross over the top of this hill. Let's kind of fly over more near, a little bit low, towards that cliff over on the seashore at the base of the hill on the left. So something also kind of cool here, I'll show you. In your sight, see how you see now like a dashed cross symbol in your sight?
Yeah, it's moving left to right.
Yep, so that's me moving the TADs around, which is essentially like the targeting pod of the Apache. So that way you can see where my target that I'm looking at and engaging is at all times.
That's incredible.
What's incredible is you're in Australia right now and it's working so well. Like, it's pretty cool to both be flying the same helicopter on two different places in the world.
Yeah. Okay, there's a big antenna up there. I'm just going to move around that.
Yeah, let's go around it to the left.
It really is just about small, gentle controls.
Yeah. You just have to be super, super patient and super, super gentle with everything. Once you kind of get down how to be really gentle and really patient with everything with the helicopter, you can then start to be more and more aggressive with the controls. The problem is we just don't want to be overly aggressive because we can get ourselves into a lot of trouble with a helicopter pretty easily, and that makes it really hard to recover.
It's, yeah. You can run out of air really quick.
Yeah. Just be careful with these trees here. I'm gonna check how much gas we've got. Oh, we got plenty of gas.
Okay, give the trees a bit of a haircut.
Yeah.
And that's waypoint 2.
Yep, I'll send us to waypoint 3. Another little helicopter base that we just flew over.
There's nobody there.
Nope. Rather quiet.
Okay, I've lost my velocity vector.
Yeah, I cannot find it either. Oh, there it is. It's right on the waypoint symbol now.
Okay, beautiful.
Okay, so just for giggles, see the pier out on our 12 o'clock?
Yep.
Try shooting the end of the pier with your gun. So just look at it and squeeze the trigger.
I might have unbound my trigger by the looks of it.
Okay, that's an easy fix. Or I'll pause it real quick. It's just called trigger. You want the first and second detent. Or if you only have a single stage trigger, just go for the second detent.
Okay.
Sweet. Ready?
Beautiful. Let's go.
All right.
So that crosshair is following the cannon,
Yep.
or vice versa.
It's because I'm looking at it too. I currently have my IHAD set as my sight. So you're basically just looking, that little crosshair is where I'm looking right now.
All right.
Pretty cool though, right? So you can see how you kind of have to do some Kentucky windage with it, where you see where the impacts are, then you adjust your aiming point based off of where the impacts are. If we were trying to do some really long range gunnery work, I would squirt the target with my laser and tell you the range to it. You would manually input the range to it, and then you would be spot on with where your sight is. Or I could just use the TADs up here to engage targets with the targeting pod, basically.
Oh, wow. So that was that 1,500 meters. You can adjust that.
Yeah, you can adjust that to whatever you want. You want me to show you how to do that?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so on your left MFD, go ahead and open your weapon page. You can also press WPN, the black key. Cool, so on the bottom right, it says man range. Click that guy. Then on your keypad on the left there, type in whatever range you want. Type in 1,000. And then hit enter. And then boom, now the range for your gun is set to 1,000.
And that'll make any adjustments that need to be made over 1,000 meters?
Yep, exactly.
Unreal.
Does it all for you. So let's try doing some slow flight here. So let's slow the helicopter down. So pull back and then see how we're climbing though. Gently down on the collective. And just be nice and slow with it, nice and easy. Nice. Looking good. So here, this is where it can get a little hairy, right? Is as you're slowing the helicopter down. We want to make sure that we're being nice and gentle, nice and smooth on the controls, being nice and patient with everything we're doing. So now start to let the nose come back down a little bit and bring a little bit more collective in, so that way we're not descending. And so now we're very close to a hover. We're only doing, 40 knots. So just pull back on the stick a little bit. And if you want to relax the controls, hit the trimmer, and then now you can relax the controls again.
Perfect.
Yep. So the trimmer is definitely key.
I'd actually forgotten about it until you just mentioned it.
Yeah. When I'm flying, I will basically be using the trimmer the entire time. Basically every little control movement I do, if I want to keep the helicopter continuing with that movement, I'll just hit the trim switch and then bring my controls back. So if we're just crawling along like this will give me plenty of time up front here to acquire, like, say, a tank, and then fire a Hellfire while still being way outside range of, a AAA or whatever other nastiness might be down there trying to kill us. Pretty cool, right?
This is unreal. Very touchy again, though, now that we're slow, the controls.
Yeah, so that just means you want to just be very gentle, and you may need to increase the curves on your controls. You want to try doing that, see if that helps?
Yeah, let's have a look.
All right.
I've got some preset, but it's very touchy still at slow speed.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me check what I have set, because I'm sure mine are pretty extreme. Yeah, I've got a curvature. What controls stick do you have again?
I'm using the F-16 Warthog stick.
Oh, right. Okay. I would go for a curvature of 40 and a dead zone of 5 for both your pitch and your roll on your cyclic. Obviously your collective doesn't need a curve on it because it's just a up-down.
It's very linear.
Yeah.
Okay, let's give that a whirl.
All right.
That's much more docile.
Yeah.
Much better.
So try and cancel out that climb for me. And while going this slow, let's just very gently, let's ease the helicopter down towards the ground.
Lose the altitude.
Yep. So don't go past that next line on the VSI. See the small dashes and then the big dash and then the dash down below. The small dashes and the big dash, that first big dash is a 500 foot per minute descent rate. We don't want to exceed 500 foot per minute descent rate pretty much ever, unless we're in a high speed and we're, trying to like carve down the backside of a hill or something like that. But if we're just barely on a transition between hover and forward flight, we want to make sure we have a nice, gentle, easy descent rate. Make sure to use that trimmer. Every time you make a rudder adjustment, hit that trimmer and center up your rudders again. You may also want to put more of a curve on your rudder pedals. Let's see how you kind of jerk the collective up a little bit there, and the helicopter's nose just kind of pulled itself.
It doesn't like it.
Yeah, got to be nice and smooth, nice and gentle. And see how we're drifting to the right? It's a little bit of left stick to cancel that out, just a hair. There you go. See how we're no longer drifting, right?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Nice and steady.
Nice. Little bit of power, just a hair. Nice and smooth up. There you go. Nice, nice, nice. Now cancel out that forward right drift. Pull back on the collective. Or sorry, pull back on the stick, I meant to say. Words are hard, you know? Cool. Now we just gotta be real careful. We got a row of trees on the right there. Nice, good job. Okay, let's go kill some shit. So, go ahead and climb up. See that peninsula sticking out into the water up in front of us?
Yeah, I see it. Yep.
Cool, that's our target point. Let's swing around towards waypoint 4, and that will set us up for a good attack run for some vehicles on the beach on the other side of that peninsula. So waypoint 4 is going to be at our 3 o'clock-ish. So as we're turning, right rudder. Use that rudder. Use that rudder to swing that nose around. There you go. So flying the Apache, it's kind of like you're flying your F-16 about to touch down for your landing at 140 knots, as well as flying a warbird at the same time. You got to have those rudders going the whole time.
It's very different to modern aircraft for rudder use.
Yep. It's basically, you're basically just flying a P-51 again. Use those rudders all the time. Even in this forward flight when we're going fast, just use those rudders to help carve that nose around the turn. Do you mind if I take the controls for a sec and bring us up to waypoint 4?
Your controls?
My controls? Oh, hello. Alright.
This is where the pilot gets a lunch break.
Yep, exactly. And the guy in the front seat can be like, hey, I can fly the helicopter too, wee! Funny thing, though, is actually the Army uses two... They don't have dedicated gunners anymore. It's 2 pilots that fly.
Is that redundancy reasons?
Yeah, I think it's just less training they have to do rather than having 2 training pipelines for gunners and for pilots. Now they just have 2 pilots do it, as well as I suppose if, you know, the pilot in the backseat were to get wounded, you know, they could, you know, land in a field somewhere, hop out, and just replace, you know, switch seats or something like that, you know, things like that.
And be equally as competent, I suppose.
Yeah. So that way, you know, the pilot in the back seat, if the gunner does fly, the pilot in the back seat can be just as confident that the guy in the front seat knows what he's doing with flying, I suppose. But don't quote me on all that.
Yeah, a lot more aggressive.
Yeah, well, like I said, once you kind of get the hang of it, you can be more aggressive with it. But it's good to stay, you know, gentle with things when you're first learning how it all works.
It always feels like it's one twitchy move away from coming down in the beginning.
Yeah. When you get slow, it's all about just being comfortable when you're slow. It's easy to be comfortable when you're going fast. And the way to do that is just, you know, put down an Apache in a field somewhere, you know, a nice flat field out in the desert, and just practice picking the helicopter up and setting it back down gently. You know, like leapfrog yourself around the map.
I think those curvatures are important too. The more docile that your controls are, the easier it is.
Yeah. Let me see. What curve do you have for your rudders, and what rudder pedals are you using?
I've got the Virpil pedals. I'll just have a look.
Okay. I'll see what my curves are as well.
Okay, they're set at a dead zone of 10 and the curvature at 25.
I'd go for like a curvature of like 35 or 40 and a dead zone of 5.
Okay.
Now see how that works for you. Alright, passing our waypoint, I'll set us up for direct flight to our target point at waypoint 5. I will slow us down a bit.
Those curves are changed. Let's have a look and see how we go.
All right, I'll give you the controls in just a second. Okay, so straight ahead is that city with all the vehicles in it for us to engage. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the controls right now. Your controls.
My control. Okay.
Try to keep us a little bit slow so I have plenty of time to acquire targets in the city out in front of us. And I'm going to go ahead and set the TADS as my sight and start looking for targets.
Copy that. They're not moving. I don't think they see that rocket coming.
Got him. Nice. Okay, cool. So now that we're getting a little bit close to them, so if they were not set to just have an ROE of weapon hold, like the APCs and that stuff down there, probably start shooting at us. So let's go ahead and head off to about our 2 o'clock down the coastline there, and let's set up for another attack run.
Okay. So nice to get some speed back. The control just comes back the quicker you get.
Yep, definitely. So the best thing to do is as we get slow, just keep using that trimmer and keep using that trimmer to get everything as just nice and trimmed out as possible, so that way you don't have to make too many movements to keep the helicopter, you know, straight and level.
It really is just those micro adjustments and making sure that the trimmer's captured them.
Yep, exactly. And it's all about being patient too. You don't want to like force something to happen right away. Like if we're, say we're going to go hide behind that tree line at our 9 o'clock there, you know, we wouldn't want to just run up to it at 100 knots and like stop the helicopter on a dime and think we can hide behind those trees, right? We gotta, you know, slow down and slowly approach it. Same thing with landing. You can't rush landing in the helicopter. You got to be nice and slow. Make sure everything is going very, you know, easily and
just nice set up.
Yeah, exactly. You got it. All right, looking out the left side there. If we make just you know, slow 180 turn, should be nice and set up. So see how sometimes you feel the helicopter like kind of bobbing up and down or left and right like that?
Yep.
When that happens, try to just hold your controls as still as possible and don't try to correct that bobbing. Just hold your controls and kind of freeze on the controls and let the bobbing kind of dampen itself out a bit.
So don't fight it, let it,
exactly.
balance itself.
Yeah, if you fight it, you'll get into more of an oscillation. Alright, I've got a target on the beach out here.
Okay, let me bring us around.
Alright. Oof, I missed. Alright, I go hot mic on my Discord, so that way I don't have to be pressing a button while lasing targets. All right, go ahead and make a quick 180 to the left or right.
Okay, I'll take us down the coast for a little bit.
Okay. So on that one, maybe next time have us a little bit lower and a bit slower, and that way I can keep my sight on the target a little easier.
So maybe traveling 50, 60 knots?
Yeah, maybe even that's a little bit fast. I would go for something more along the lines of try to go for like 30 knots.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to swing us back around.
All right.
Try and wash some speed off in this turn as well.
Yeah. All right, good job. Bring us back around. Go after that same target.
Okay, sitting at 30 knots.
Okay, missiles away. Okay, that's making it a lot easier for me to keep track of the target. Alright, nice. Good job. And that's a shack.
Ooh, nice.
Okay, so just stay here, and you're almost in a hover. That's beautiful. Just kind of keep going with what you're doing. It's nice and gentle with that collective. See how it's, as you're pulling up, it's pulling that nose to the right. Just counteract with some rudder.
Yep.
Nice. And just start to push the nose forward a little bit. Let's just kind of creep up on the targets a little bit. Whoa, hey there.
Oh, that hover is really difficult.
Yeah. You're kind of, I would say, maybe still moving the controls, especially the rudder pedals, a little fast. Try to be a little bit more smooth, a little bit more gentle with your control inputs. Because that way we can try to avoid getting to those oscillations where the nose starts kind of swinging left and right. And what's happening is you're kind of like panicking. You're like, oh man, and then you're correcting really hard to the other side, and then it's making the nose swing back to the other side. And then as well as you're kind of panicking slightly when you get close to the ground or the helicopter starts doing some weird things, and then you're pulling up on the collective, which will swing the nose left or right even more because of the change in the what am I trying to say? Change in the torque.
Yeah. Yep. You can really feel that.
Yeah, so just nice and gentle up on the collective here. Real smooth, as slow as you can. There you go. See? Big difference. Now, as we're sliding to the right, just a little bit of left stick to counteract it. Nice and gentle. Beautiful. Good job. All right. And missile is away. Let's see if we can get this one to hit. It's kind of a low shot on this one. Nice, Shack. Cool, good job, dude. Alright, let's see if we can hit another one here. Okay, we got some troops and a truck in the open here. Okay, I'm just gonna wait for that bobble to settle out a little bit, and rifle. Okay, there you go, good job. Just hold that stick still. And then, if you really do need a correction, then make the correction. Don't try to fight the bobble. Boom, nice shot. And... Alright, let's look. We got, okay, we got an M113 off to the right slightly. So, as you're trying to line the helicopter up with my sight like that, that was way too fast. Try to, like, go 25% that speed. Smooth is going to be fast.
Nice and gentle.
Yeah. But it's easy to get excited, right?
It's fighting the bounce. That's what you got to train yourself not to do.
Yep, exactly. Okay.
Like you said, let it settle.
Yep. We're climbing slightly, just ease off on the collective just a hair. Nice and slow, nice and gentle. And rifle. Any second now. Nice. Good hit again.
Perfect.
Good flying. And we got a bunch of infantry down there on the beach. But we got one more Hellfire we can use. There's another truck. Bunch of dead infantry around that. Kind of morbid. Alright. Remember to use that trimmer. Don't forget that trimmer. The good thing is I'm not worried about you actually crashing now. So I'm not really paying attention to the flight controls. I'm just trying to like do the gunner thing and kind of just give you a little bit of tips here and there. And rifle. Good job. Keeping it nice and steady. Love it. Nice shot. And cool. So that is it for our Hellfires. So we'll go ahead and waz some rockets. Cool. So with the rockets, we can do what's called co-op rockets, where if you go ahead and waz your rockets as well in the backseat. Alright, so basically what's going to happen here is once I see you swing the nose close to my target, that I will fire the rockets. So with this, you probably want to have... Let's go ahead and break off to a 180 to the left again, and we'll come back at the target.
Okay, swing around.
So for this one, we can have a little bit more forward speed, give you a little bit finer control on where your nose is pointed. And that will allow you to really fine-tune where the rockets are going to go. So it's kind of, they call it co-op rockets because I'm setting the target and I'm pulling the trigger, but you are aiming the rockets because you have control of the helicopter.
So okay, so I'll be pointing the rockets or the nose of the aircraft at the target. You'll be firing from there.
Yep. I'll be pulling the trigger.
Beautiful. Okay, I'm going to recommit.
All right.
Back into nice smooth controls.
Yeah, definitely. Just remember to keep using that trimmer.
That trimmer holds the rudder as well, not just the stick.
Yep, it's for all the controls. All right. Okay, I've got a target. Just trying to get your nose onto my sight. Pick up the nose just slightly. Yeah, we're out of range still. I don't know why I fired that first one. Alright, come right.
Call it before? Kentucky windage, that's why.
Yep, exactly. Come right just slightly. A little to the left. Follow the little eye. Try to get that little eye symbol on your sight right in the middle. A little bit more, just a hair more. Just a hair more to the left. There we go, now we're getting closer. That should hit. Very close. Pretty cool, right?
Oh, that's intense.
Alright, go ahead and break off to the right this time. Give you a little bit of practice going to the right. Right rudder, right rudder. Use that rudder to really pull the helicopter around in the turn. Nice, just watch the high rises here. And now, okay, you've got some infantry on the beach on the right, 2 o'clock. Go ahead and hit him with the gun. That's your rockets. Make sure to WAS the gun first.
I hit the wrong direction there.
Yep. There you go. Cool, so swing the helicopter back around to the right again. Make sure to use the rudders to really dig that nose into the turn. Nice. Nice, 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 nice. Careful. Nice and gentle. Okay, cool. See the infantry in the open at our 1 o'clock, now coming through our 12 o'clock? You're about to fly. Nice. Nice job. So, a little easier when you're flying a little offset, right? So rather than putting the nose right on them, fly it to the left or to the right of them. More infantry down there to the left in the little bay next to the buildings.
Over here where the piers are?
Yep. Oh, no, not on the other side. Back on that beach where those vehicles were. So let's do a pass down the beach, and you'll be able to see a couple groups of infantry in the harbor area.
Take it down this side?
The other side of the peninsula. The northern peninsula. The northern side of the peninsula. Infantry on the left there, same spot you engaged earlier. Just look at them, pull the trigger.
I just lost my bearings.
Yep. So remember, you can just, with the gun selected, the gun is following your sight, right? So you can just look at them. You don't have to point the nose at them to shoot them. The gun is a turret.
How far off center can you fire?
So it'll tell you when you can't shoot anymore. So if you keep looking left, look left, see where it says limits? Limits is where...
Oh, yep.
Yep, and see that box that moves around the box in the middle of your sight there? That it also shows you the limits as well. So infantry is at our 1230. There you go. And don't get target fixation. Don't run us into these buildings. Nice shots. Pretty cool, right?
Oh, it's out of control. It's unreal.
All right, truck down on our left.
It's just outside the limit.
Oof. So careful, right? Yeah, gotta still be smooth on those controls, even though we're engaging with the gun.
That's the key. It's so hard to stay smooth.
Yep. It's definitely hard, but it's absolutely key for sure. All right, cool.
100%.
I see. I've got eyes on an APC down there, so let's go ahead and let's extend back up the beach to the north here, and let's go for another rocket pass on some vehicles.
Yeah. It's easy to forget the collective as well, I'm finding.
Yep. It definitely can be, so you just got to make sure that you keep it in mind, obviously. It's pretty cool how you can see my head moving around, isn't it?
It's I've never seen it. Having never flown with a co-pilot, I've never seen, you know, half of what we're doing. But it is cool when you look left, right, up, down. I can see the back of your head.
And that's also helpful too, is like if I'm looking, you know, I say call it a target like on our left at 10 o'clock, you can kind of follow my head to it as well, you know?
I was actually doing that before. When you said infantry at 2 o'clock, I just sort of followed your head.
Alright, that should be far enough. Let's go ahead and come back around.
Try and go a bit slower for the rockets as well.
Okay. Sounds good. Careful.
Okay.
Alright, trying to find some vehicles that we haven't killed yet. Okay, cool. We got a nice truck right there. And make sure you WAS rockets again for co-op rockets.
There we go.
Nice. And just try to fly as smoothly as possible. Try to get your nose right on my sight. You want to line up that eye right on top of the target. That's looking real good right there. Just a hair to the right. Go pylon limit. Get a little closer. Pull the nose up just a hair for me. There we go. That should be a hit, hopefully.
Beautiful.
That one's really close. And just a hair to the left. Maybe this isn't working the way I thought it was going to be working. It's a little strange. Okay, now it's working. I needed to have been lasing the target the whole time. Nose a little to the right. Or left, I mean. There we go. And then it gets harder as you get closer because you want to push the target down. Okay, waz your gun real quick. Infantry at 1 o'clock. Infantry is there at 2 o'clock.
Oh, I've lost sight.
Now you're 3 o'clock. Come right. Gentle right. So come around the peninsula here, and that infantry's right at the base of the breakwater for the harbor here. So go ahead and straighten out a little bit, straighten out your heading, and there's the infantry right down there. See them?
Nope.
Right there. See those guys?
Oh, yeah.
And then there's the limit.
Oh, shit.
Pretty cool, right?
Oh, yeah. Some targets in front.
Nice. All right.
Definitely feeling a lot better flying this now. Definitely feeling better.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's go ahead and bring it back to our home base, and let's try and see if we can make a landing. So I'll give
real
you...
test.
Yeah. See if we can give you some nav to waypoint 6. All right, it's going to be off at heading of... yeah, about due south, so about 195 degrees.
And line up that velocity vector.
Nice. Let's try and fly a little bit lower back there this time. And try to follow... So we know where the waypoint is, so let's try to follow some landmarks here. So see this road down here at 11 o'clock? Go ahead and follow that road for me.
Okay.
As if we were looking for, say, some vehicles on that road.
You're on the gun as well.
Yep, so I can take over the gun. And because I'm the gunner, my sight actually overrides your sight. So if there was some infantry down there, I could engage them real close here.
So there is a hierarchy on the controls.
Yep, there's a hierarchy on the weapons for sure. Nice, so it feels like you're also getting more comfortable being a little bit more aggressive on the controls, so that's good.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
But you can see how just a little control input goes a long way. So even if you're trying to make a real hard, tight turn, just a little bit of control input can really do it. And if you really kind of stomp on that rudder, as you're kind of trying to make that turn, you can really make the turn tight.
100%. I think that tip as well where you don't try and correct too much left rudder with right rudder, it just let it settle and then
Yep, let it settle, and then if it needs some correction still after it settles, then you can add the correction. And that's true of the rudders as well as the stick as well. So a couple times here I felt us get into a little bob up and down with our pitch, as well as a little bob with our roll at times, and then also definitely a lot of bob with our rudders in the yaw axis. So just like you said, just let it smooth itself out, and then give it correction if it still needs it.
Definitely.
All right. So do you have your sight selector mapped? That's a symbology.
Yep. Oh, no, I don't think so.
Okay, so here, I'll pause it for you real quick, and this can be pretty cool. And it'll help you get your eyes on things faster when it comes to, saying, oh, hey, infantry at our 1 o'clock kind of situation. So if you go to your adjust controls, you can find, let me tell you what it's called.
Oh, I do have them. Sight select switch. Yep.
Yep, you got it. So do you know what controls those are now? Yep, looks like it. So now, basically, you can select which, that little dashed cross, that sight that was popping up that showed you where my TADS was looking?
Yep.
You can also do that with my helmet-mounted sight. So you can also see where I'm just looking in general by switching your sight select to my HMD. So if you're ready for the unpause, I'll show you what that looks like.
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right. So on your sight select, on the bottom left, that's where it shows what sight you have selected. So right now it's PHMD. Your sight is your own sight right now, and that's how you were directing the gun to engage targets. But if you use that sight select, do a couple, go ahead and scroll through that hat switch for me.
It's not changing.
Huh. Okay. We can also go to your weapon page and go to acquisition source on the bottom right, ACQ. And you can set, let's see, what are the options here? Yeah, don't crash this, obviously. And for the options for that acquisition source, we've got see where it says up top, it says like CHS on the right, that top option on the right. Yeah, there you go. I think you should be able to see where I'm looking now.
Oh, yep. Yes, I can. Yep.
Yep, you can. So that acquisition source is how you select what that little X cross that's dashed is slave to. Man, I just can't talk tonight. And so that way you'll be able to see where I'm looking, as well as if you set it to TADS, that's where the TADS is looking. So it's very cool to be able to do that. So like right now,
a lot easier for target spotting.
Yeah, so if you look over at the pier right now, so you can see I'm looking at the pier on the right at 1 o'clock. So it works really well.
That's unreal. It simplifies sort of me finding where you're looking.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll get us a bit more speed here.
Alrighty. Yeah, so let's follow the slope of this hill, kind of push that nose down and follow the slope down to the water line by that pier. It's also one of the reasons why I can't wait for the F-15E is to be able to fly with somebody in the same jet and give them instruction as well. That'll be pretty darn fun.
It'll be phenomenal. It really will.
Alright, watch the ground, pull the nose up, pull back on the stick. There you go. So it's going so fast, fly it like an airplane, right? So we don't want to overtax the engine by ripping up on the collective. Just pull back on the stick. We got plenty of airspeed to go up.
We're still hovering at 56, 55%.
Yeah. Alright, lots of light posts around here, so just watch for that.
That would be a horrible way to finish a successful mission.
Run into some power lines, yeah.
Yeah. I've noticed sometimes with the trim, if I push trim and it's too far away from what the controls were, it'll sort of jump.
Yeah, so there is a setting in the special options that we can change for you that will make that a lot better, where when you press the trimmer, it will only come into effect once you center your controls.
Ooh, that'd be a lot better.
Yeah, definitely. It'll help a lot.
I thought it would be it's a lot to manage, and I suppose it is a lot to manage. You know, pedals, the stick, the collective.
Yeah.
But it sort of starts to feel good after a while.
Yeah. It is a lot to manage, and that's why there's two guys, right? I shoot and you fly, or vice versa if you needed to.
That's true.
That's why, you know, with the KOF 50, you can kind of get away with having one guy because it is a it's not like it's got counter-rotating blades, so it's not as hard to fly because it doesn't have all that torque to it pulling you left and right all the time. So you can more easily get away with having one guy doing everything.
The rudder input's less important.
Yeah, exactly. So what we'll do is for the landing, we'll just, we'll land the aircraft on the runway rather than in a specific parking spot. And what we'll do is we'll just kind of creep up on the runway, just slowing ourselves down more and more and more. And then eventually just kind of plop her down onto the runway. If we can get it into a hover, awesome. Just remember that we just want to, once we're in a hover, we just want to slow down nice, or descend nice and slow. We also want to slow down nice and slow as well.
Let's give it a go.
Want me to set one down here, like in a field here, on our way back to the home base, so that way you can kind of see what it kind of looks like in the site and whatnot?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, my controls.
Your controls.
Okay. Hopefully I don't make a fool out of myself here. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll just slowly slow her down. So you can see on the controls indicator how smooth and slow I am on the collective.
It's just coming down millimeters at a time.
Yep, that's what we really want. We just want to be nice and slow. I'm going to now hit the trimmer, and now I'm back to being nice and centered on my physical controls. So let's go ahead and put her down on the field over there. So we'll just very gently. Also, when you have your feet on your rudder pedals, do you have is your whole foot on the rudder pedal usually, or do you try to put your heels on the ground?
Generally, it's a whole foot.
Okay. One thing that'll also really, really help you, not just in the helicopter, but also in all aircraft in DCS, is when you are using your rudders, try to have just the balls of your feet on the bottoms of the rudder pedals and your heels on the ground. And what that does is that'll ground you and allow you to really feel exactly how much input you're putting on the rudder pedals. And that will really, really, really allow you to make those nice, small, gentle, incremental changes to how much rudder input you're putting in.
I've noticed how smoothly you've turned the, from 100 knots to virtually still.
Yeah, And so right now, like when people get to where we are now, this is where they get in trouble usually. They're in a rush to put the helicopter on the ground. You know, I don't care how long it takes me to put it on the ground as long as I put it on the ground safely, right? So I'm not rushing it at all. So I'm going to land in that field right there at our 11 o'clock, but I'm not going to rush myself into the landing. I also have to remember a couple things here. I've got my wheels hanging down that are non-retractable. I've also got the body of the entire helicopter and the tail behind me, so I've got to be careful with that when I choose my landing spot.
And you're sitting in the gunner's position, so it's going to feel a bit strange as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because I'm a little bit lower than you, and I'm more forward of you. So we're just easing it down to the ground.
That shadow at our 10 o'clock's helpful.
Absolutely. Right now I'm pretty much just using my peripheral vision to get a gauge on how far above the ground we are. And we want to avoid panicking and then climbing at the last second. That's where a lot of people also get in trouble too. As if we're right about to contact the ground, a lot of people worry, oh geez, I'm descending too fast, and they rip up on the collective and they end up crashing the helicopter as a result. Whoop.
Oh, perfect. I'll take that.
Yeah. I probably had too much of a side slip there and we almost tipped over. But it's a good demonstration of just how slowly you want to take everything. And really make sure that you have the balls of your feet on the rudder pedals and your heels on the ground. That's going to help you out tremendously. In every real airplane or real helicopter, that's the way it works. So if you want the controls back, your controls, take us off and let's fly back to our home base.
My controls, let's do it.
Rudder RPM high.
All right, so
RPM low.
a little fast.
My collective was still in the same place when you took controls.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess that's something to also be wary of. I'll go ahead and clear out the master caution for us.
It was a very quick takeoff.
That's for sure. I'm surprised our rotor blades didn't go flying off on that one.
Oof, it was about 2/3.
But the good thing is you saved it though, right? So any takeoff you can walk away from, I suppose.
Okay, we're back.
Nice. You'll also notice that we've got half the amount of fuel that we had before, and we've used all of our rockets, and we've used all of our Hellfires. So we're quite a bit lighter now. So your collective inputs are going to be even more exaggerated because the engines and the blades aren't straining against the weight of the helicopter as much anymore.
Hadn't considered that, but it's a good point.
Yeah. So you'll notice when we're landing, you'll feel that the helicopter is definitely a lot lighter than it was when you took off when we first started.
I love that I can still see your crosshair where you're actually looking.
Yeah, pretty cool.
This feels like a nice cruising altitude and speed.
Yeah, definitely.
So is there an easy, I suppose it's the 20 kilometers I see, that's 20 kilometers from the checkpoint.
Yep. The W06 means we're flying to waypoint 6, and for me it says 10.5 nautical miles. For you, it says about 20 kilometers.
Yep. Which makes a lot more sense than miles.
A rough calculation is like a kilometer's about half the distance of a nautical mile, roughly.
Yeah, I think we multiply up by about 2.1.
Is that for a statute mile or a nautical mile, I wonder?
That's for a statute mile.
Okay. Yeah, it's probably slightly more for a nautical mile, because this is going to sound totally dumb to you as an Australian, but a statute mile is 5,280 feet, and a nautical mile is 6,000 feet, for whatever reason.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't, but it's what I grew up with, and so my brain is now hobbled for life.
Like with metric, it's all divisible, by 10.
Yeah, exactly, which makes total sense. But still, it's like, if someone says, oh, it's 10 kilometers away, and I'm just like, how far is that? I have no idea, because my brain is calibrated on nautical miles.
It's funny that, like, in my work, I'm in a trade, and
Yeah.
we still, I'm in plumbing, so when we're talking about our plumbing fixtures or fittings that we use, we're using inches and fractions.
Yeah.
So 1/2 inch and 3/8 fittings, and a 4-inch fitting, or 6 or 8-inch fittings, and things like that.
Definitely.
I couldn't tell you what they convert to in metric.
This straight line flying is boring. Let's have you maneuver the helicopter more.
Let's do it. Along the coast?
Yeah, let's follow the coastline. And let's get low, too.
Well, hang on, it could be famous last words.
Do you have your heels on the ground now?
Yeah, can you tell?
Yep, I can. It feels a lot different, right?
It does. It does. It actually feels a lot better.
Yeah, a lot better. Way more stable, right?
It's yeah, it really is.
Yeah. Because, you can slide your heels across the ground when you want to make a movement, but then if you want to hold that movement, which is especially important in a helicopter, then you can just kind of dig your heels into the ground, and then they're not moving anywhere on you.
Your legs aren't jiggling trying to hold that rudder in position.
Yeah, exactly. All these little things that all add up,
They do.
And it's also important in a real helicopter or a real airplane. You might actually have, physical forces pushing back against you, as you're trying to manipulate the rudder. So if you can have your heels on the ground, then you can brace yourself against those aerodynamic forces pushing the rudder pedals around.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's probably the one thing that's missing from this, is that physical feedback of, what it would actually feel like.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there even is any in the Apache. It's not fly-by-wire, but it's close to fly-by-wire. So like in the Hornet, you actually don't have any physical feedback. Neither do you in the F-16. In the F-14, you absolutely do.
Yeah, it was big mechanical bird.
Yeah.
Buzz the resort there on our left.
Yep. I'm not sure what happened with my track IR here. My head position seems to have gone all weird.
I can see your crosshair moving, or I could.
Yeah, it'll be fine for the landing.
Sometimes that happens with mine. It ends up being the zoom function.
Yeah, I think I just somehow accidentally pressed a button that like shifted my view. Okay, so our airbase is going to be right up here on our nose. So let's swing out into the water, kind of over to our 2 o'clock-ish, and then that way that'll get us nice and lined up for coming in on the runway.
Okay.
It also gives you a totally different perspective on the DCS maps, you know? It really shows you how much stuff there is on the maps.
You're not just flying over it, you're flying in it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's pretty cool in that way. The warbirds also kind of give you a little bit more of that feel as well, because you're a lot slower and usually lower.
You can land in fields.
Yeah.
This would be phenomenal in VR.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so even though we're still pretty far out, just start slowing the helicopter down a bit. You know, take your time with slowing it down, keep everything nice and under control. Your heels are going to be on the floor now, so that's going to make it much easier to hold a nice, steady rudder input.
Yeah, look at that.
Amazing, right? Huge difference.
Yeah.
We'll start the gentle turn, come to the left, use the turn to help bleed off a little airspeed. Keep pulling back on that stick. Little less collective. Try to make it so that way you're not climbing at all in the turn. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Little less collective. There you go. Wow, look how smooth that turn was there. Pretty awesome, right?
That's unreal. Such a simple thing too.
So simple, makes such a big difference. So keep pulling that nose up and less collective. Gotta slow this bird down. If you can, try to put that velocity vector right on the runway for me. Cancel out that side slip with some stick. There you go. And now remember, if you let that nose dip back down, we're going to increase our airspeed, so just be careful of that. A little more collective, descending a little too fast. There you go. So that was a good correction. That one, you didn't panic and rip the collective up on that one, which is really good. A little more collective, getting a little low around these trees. Try to get us to the runway. Really nice. A little bit more collective. Try to level off our flight altitude. So arrest the descent. More collective. There you go. Hit that trimmer for me and center those controls. There you go. Yep, so that's where that setting's really going to help.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah.
Oh.
Uh-oh. So just kind of come back around here. Yeah, it's right before you touch down is where it all goes wrong. You want me to get you... take the controls and get you right back to where you were when you hit the trimmer? Uh-oh,
Oh,
now
no.
we're dead.
RPM low.
Holy cow, how did we survive that? Here, my controls real quick.
RPM high.
Your controls.
Everyone on the ground watching us is just like,
Oh,
what the fuck? What did we just see?
Just barrel rolled an Apache.
Yep. Alright, so I'll just kind of get us set up right kind of where you were at the end of the runway when you hit that trimmer button. And then make sure your collective's kind of right in the middle of its length of travel. And we'll get you nice and set up here.
Yeah, that's one violent action with the trimmer.
Yeah, and the setting just makes it so much easier because right now, so I'm holding the controls offset from the center. I hit the trimmer, and nothing happens until I bring my controls to the center. We'll just...
Yeah, I don't know what it's doing with my one, but it's wild.
Yeah, we'll take a look at your settings. It's all good. There. You want to take it here?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right. Let me know when you're ready for the controls.
Okay, ready.
Your controls. All right. So we're climbing, so less collective. Gentle with that though, right? So you pushed it down really hard. All right, now bring it around to the right. Some right rudder and right stick. Fly it like an airplane and a helicopter at the same time. Right now you're landing your F-16. Nice. Looking good. See the velocity vector is way off there to the right? Bring in some left stick to counteract that. Nice. Looking good. So correct the velocity vector being to the right of the runway with left stick. Roll left slightly rather than using left rudder. Does that make sense? And then don't panic here, don't climb. Just very gently set her down. Pull back on the stick a little bit to slow her down with less collective. Nice. Cancel out the side slip, I like it. And set her down. Pull back on the stick just a hair. Nice.
Oh man. Wow.
Yeah, pretty cool, right? Well, hopefully this was helpful for you, man.
Oh dude, that was insane. I loved it.
That's awesome. Well, I guess I converted somebody
wow.
over to flying helicopters now in DCS.
Yeah, sold.
Yeah. So, can I show you? I'm going to take the controls real quick, and I'll show you one quick thing that I think got you in a little bit of trouble there towards the end. Was so here. I'm just going to take off real quick. I don't care if we run out of gas and crash. I just want to show you something. Alright, come on helicopter, take off. There we go. Okay, where's my velocity vector? It's around here somewhere. So, when I told you that the velocity vector was slightly off to the right of the runway, you corrected with your rudder pedals as opposed to using the stick. So if I'm sliding to the left or to the right, correcting with the rudder pedals is going to make it worse. See how that makes it worse?
Oh, yeah.
So instead, what I want to do is if I'm sliding, here I'll get into another side slip up here. If I'm sliding, let's say we get into another right slide slip. Sliding to the right, to correct and cancel that out, I want to roll to the opposite side. And now, no more slide. See that? I didn't even move the rudder pedals.
I was watching the rudder pedals on the top there as well.
Yeah. So it's kind of like you kind of have to figure out and get a feel for, okay, if the helicopter is doing this, do I use the stick, do I use the collective, or do I use the rudder pedals?
It's interesting when you put the rudder in, how much worse that slip got.
Yeah, it is kind of weird, right? And so, you know, same thing for the other side. So if we get it to slip to the right, all we need to do is just roll slightly to the right, and we're canceled out. And if we're...
It's gentle, isn't it? Just gentle roll.
If we're sliding backwards, then we just push the stick forward. If we're sliding forwards, then we pull the stick back. You know, nice and gentle. And what you can do is, if you see, look at the controls indicator right now, instead of pushing and holding, then the control input just keeps going, right? But instead of doing that, what you can do, and you can do this in airplanes too, and this will also really help you in the Tomcat, is if you just do a little like bump the controls. So we're going to bump the controls to get into a side slip to make sure we don't hit a building, and then bump the controls to get out of the side slip.
Oh,
and then
yeah,
bump
just
the controls
nudges.
back to center. Yeah, just little bumps, little nudges. If I want to start to go forward here to get away from these stupid buildings, we'll just kind of bump the stick forward a little bit. And then you can kind of, come up with your own feel of how much bumping versus just pushing and holding you want for the control input that you want.
That would get you out of sort of trouble with overcorrecting too, because I tend to grab the stick and pull the other way, and you end up in side slip going the wrong way.
Yeah, so if you're slipping to the right and you're like, oh shit, I don't want that, and you go left, then oh man, that's a whole other thing. And now we're going to the left, where instead we can just center the controls. Let's see what happens. But see how the helicopter kind of wants to correct itself a little bit? The helicopter knows how to fly.
It doesn't want to be sliding.
Yeah, exactly. Just same thing with the Tomcat. The Tomcat likes to fly. You just don't want to fight its ability to fly, All airplanes know how to fly. We don't want to fight its ability and know how to fly. And then, let's see, if we want to touch down now, then the nudges and the little bumps on the controls really, really help when it comes to actually getting ready to touch down. So I'm trying to cancel out that right side slip, but I'm not overcorrecting for it. Just little bumps, little back on the stick a little bit here, sliding a little bit more. And I'm in no rush to touch down. And then when we're about to touch down, we don't want to then... oh, I kind of lost it there. When we're about to touch down, the worst thing we can do is start to climb again, because that's going to really mess us up. So if we can just, if we're about to touch down, just commit to the touchdown. Oh, come on, helicopter. Where's the ground? There it is. Not the best touchdown again, but we don't want to be like right about the touchdown and then go whoop right back into the air again.